Hi, we're doing the Cuban Missile Crisis today, just talking about it, no questions, no homework questions or anything like that. You'll find the reading on your classwork page. Okay? All right. Talk about how the face of the war was changed, or the world, it should be world, not war, was changed forever in the United States in 1945. When we bombed Japan, dropped nuclear weapons on 2 cities in Japan, that changed the outlook of the world, okay? We suddenly have created this weapon that is very possible to destroy mankind as we know it. And we were the only ones who had it at that time. Now, other countries are starting to develop it. And the Cold War is strictly so you got a number of countries that's got nuclear weapons pointed at each other, and everybody is a little bit afraid that some lunatic is going to launch. Okay? And again, if that ever did happen, life as we know it changes forever. Okay? Yes?
If during this time, if Russia launched a nuclear missile at us, could it be possible to send a heat-seeking missile at that?
It's possible. They're not going to send one. That's the thing. It's going to be many coming at you. It's not just going to be one. If it was one, yes, but they're going to send so many, you're not going to stop them all. That's the whole idea of sending a bunch. Okay. All right. Stop, please. No one ever before had used such powerful weapons in the battle. Most people in the world hold on to the hope that nuclear weapons will never be used in the future. They became very close to being dashed in 1962. Okay, we almost had a nuclear war. The world was on the brink of a war. Life as we know it may have changed forever. Fidel Castro is the dictator of Cuba in 1959. He knew that the United States was trying to oust him from office from the time that he got into office. He led a communist government that the United States didn't particularly want, just 90 miles. Remember yesterday we talked about how Cuba's 90 miles off the tip of Florida. We don't want that communist government right there in our backyard like that. The Bay of Pigs has been a fiasco. The weak attempt by the American-backed Cuban refugees has been an embarrassing defeat. Castro also knew that this would not be the last attempt that the United States would make. He was intent on finding a strong country to ally with for protection. Okay? Okay, Adam, you want to take it up a little bit? All right, so the Soviet Union was in need of someone to form an alliance with also. They were actually falling behind in the arms race with the United States. Put the yearbooks away, or they're going to be mine. Okay? You're sitting in history class. They were not able to create as many weapons as the United States had, even more disturbing to the Soviets was the concern that the United States had set up nuclear missiles in Turkey, which put us only 150 miles from the Soviet border. Okay, so they did not particularly care for that. A greater concern was the capability of these missiles. The Soviet missiles could only reach targets within Europe. The United States missiles were capable of reaching across the oceans anywhere in the world. So we're the big daddy right now, but Russia is working to get there. But right now, the United States doesn't have to fear atomic bombs from Russia hitting us. They might hit our allies in Europe, but they're not going to hit us. So this is why Russia now is trying to put them in Cuba. That's what the Cuban Missile Crisis is. Okay? All right? President Kennedy took office as the President of the United States. He met with the leader of the Soviet Union, Khrushchev. They discussed the possibility of resolving the differences and slowing down the production of nuclear weapons. After this meeting, Khrushchev informs members of his government that he believed that President Kennedy was going to be a weak president.
I mean, you got shot in the head last
because he was trying to negotiate peace instead of grabbing the bull by the horns and threatening to whoop it. So he is perceived as being weak. Okay? And you don't want your enemies to think you are weak. Okay? So base, he didn't believe Kennedy was capable of making the decisions that would have to be made to keep America strong. So based on these conclusions, the Soviets decided to form an alliance with Cuba. Cuba would provide the land the Soviets needed to build a nuclear base, and in return, the Soviets would provide protection and security that Castro believed Cuba needed. Okay? Now was the time that by midsummer 1962, the Soviets were well on their way to completing a lethal missile system all around the island of Cuba. On October 15th, a plane flying reconnaissance, basically a spy plane for the United States, spots the construction. The news was reported to President Kennedy. After meeting with his top advisors, he contacted the Soviet foreign minister, told him that the United States would not tolerate missiles in Cuba. The foreign minister from the Soviet Union denied, believe it or not, your enemies will lie to you. And he said, oh no, we're not doing that. Okay? Now was the time that President Kennedy would have to prove to Khrushchev that he was not weak. He had several options to deliberate. He could ignore the situation and hope it went away, which it was not going to. He could invade Cuba with military force and try to defeat the Cubans and the Soviets. But again, nobody wants that. Okay? He could try talking the Soviets out of continuing construction. And all these solutions had serious consequences. Okay? Lift it up a little bit for me. There you go. In 1962, President Kennedy addressed the world. He comes on and he announced the discovery of the missiles and his plan to deal with them. He said that he was prepared to set up a blockade around the island of Cuba. No ships would be allowed to enter or leave the country. He also stated that if any missile was fired from Cuba, it would be taken as an attack upon the United States. And he demanded that all missiles be removed by the Soviets. The next 7 days were a very tense time, to say the least. Neither side was willing to back down. People around the world prayed for clear minds to decide the fate of the world. On October 28th, Khrushchev announced that his government would take the missiles apart and bring them back to the Soviet Union. The United States agreed not to invade Cuba, and the world breathed a sigh of relief. Government officials later shared that their fear that a nuclear war had probably been just minutes away from happening.
The one we
Right
talked
in
about
our
yesterday.
backyard. Okay?
So one was second, one was.
Well, they didn't have them set up yet to hit us, but we were within seconds of
Boom.
hitting Russia. Russia would have retaliated by hitting
Nuclear
Europe.
warfare.
I mean, it still would have been a no-win situation. Okay, no one would ever win this type of war. Okay? All right, not too bad today. Talk to you later.